Because we're hot like fire.
Generations call up. Generations.
Turn it up a little higher.
Generations call up. Things will slip.
Because we're hot like fire, ain't any season. Still I roll like tire, we don't need reason. We build the empire. We build the empire. Because we're hot like fire.
Generations call up. Generations.
Turn it up a little higher.
Generations call up. Things will slip.
The revive is a perfect rolling thunder. The grenade forces them in, and it's a 4K. Oh, the pin through the Omen smoke. Cleo's onto the spy cam to give himself a third.
Oh my god.
How?
Gets that kill.
No way. What? Ooh, 3, 4. How have they done that?
Welcome to the first ever Valorant First Strike Europe main event. We started with hundreds and hundreds of teams in the qualifiers, but we're now down to just 8. And this week, EU's finest will finally get a chance to battle it out and see who can claim that crown. I am Yingsu, and I'm beyond excited to present to you the 2 guests joining me on the analyst desk today. It is the voice of EU Valorant, Mitch, and the man who's definitely not biased towards G2, Lothar. Hi guys, it's absolutely great to finally have you here in Berlin, Germany.
Oh, it's amazing to be here. $100,000 on the line, best teams in Europe, open qualifiers, Sky, Icebox. There's so much going on right now. I can't wait to get these games started.
I'm still in that intro video, you know, and just bouncing around to the music. It's just so good, it's insane. But I'm so happy and excited to be here at the first Valorant Major.
Of course, the first massive EU Valorant event, and we are all here for one reason and one reason only, and that is, of course, to find the best team at EU First Strike. And here is a breakdown of everything that's taking place this week. We are in the knockout stage of the tournament. There are 4 quarterfinals, 2 today and 2 tomorrow, seeding in from the 2 weeks of qualifiers we had prior to the event. You'll also be able to find the 2 semi-finals here on Saturday, and we will end on Sunday with our best of 5 finale. Each day will start with a half-hour pre-show at 4:30, and Agent Select will be at 5 p.m. CET. But that is enough from me. Let's take a closer look at the teams that will be competing at the main event. First up, from the first week of qualifiers, we have G2, Team Liquid, G2, Team Liquid, Summon FC, and FPX. Of course, like I said, these 4 teams made it through the first week of the qualifiers. So in theory, they are our better teams in this tournament. But Lothar, would you say that we are looking at the 4 best teams in Europe right now?
It's hard to say if they are the best, but you can definitely say they're the most pressured. They have to, let's say, convince everyone of their position. Will it be for G2, the best in the world, right? Team Liquid, do they actually stand as a tier 1 team in this competition, right? Then we have also Summon FC, who are kind of like perceived by pro players to be one of the best teams, but they didn't prove yet to the public that they will, you know, have to earn their place. So in general, the teams coming from the week 1, they have a lot of pressure in front of them, but we'll see how they go.
Well, of course, in the quarterfinals, those 4 teams we just mentioned will be taking on the 4 teams that came through the second week of qualifiers, and they are Nopenki, Auglis, Prodigy, who used to be called Prodigy, Purple Cobras, and Team Heretics. Mitch, how serious are these 4 teams as contenders, or are they really coming into this on the back foot?
You know, I never want to say a team is coming in as food for the bigger teams, but to an extent, I'll say it this way. For Orglis and Purple Cobras, I don't expect as much of them against the teams from the first week. But for a team like Heretics, although the public might underestimate them and not know them all too well, I don't think that the other teams in this tournament will give them that same leisure. They are a very skilled team, definitely one that can cause upsets, especially with how the brackets have worked out for them in the first set. And then Nolpenki, a team that's been around for forever, it seems like. They haven't picked up an organization. They've had roster changes, most recently bringing in CNET and VAC. There's a lot of potential there. I don't think they'll be able to take the crown off of the likes of a G2 or Challenge in FPX, but it's a proving ground for a team like Nolpenki to get their foot in the door, show the world what they're capable of, and possibly pick up an organization. Because at the end of the day, for teams like Orglis, for teams like Nolpenki, that is the goal here, to show yourself off, and who knows, maybe they could be the next Fnatic.
Yeah. And one thing is certain, if Fnatic gonna pick up someone here, you know, from this tournament, it's gonna be the second place.
Again, not biased towards G2 at all, ladies and gentlemen. Well, yesterday marked the 6-month anniversary of the release of VALORANT. That's right, the game has already been out for 6 months, and would you look at that? I am also joined by Jonas and Hypok. Guys, it is also great to have both of you here in Berlin, Germany as well. And as I was saying, the game has been out for 6 months now, which also means the competitive scene have had 6 months to develop. So looking at this tournament that we're going into this week, what does this mean in the grand scheme of the VALORANT competitive scene?
I mean, 6 months has absolutely flown by in my eyes, but you know, so far we've had the appetizers. Here we are, the main course. This is the week where, you know, we're officially looking to crown the kings of Europe. I can't be more excited to be here, obviously, to obviously crown those first champions. It's really exciting. I think we've got a fantastic, you know, bracket on our hands and potentially a couple of upsets.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. Now that we recently had some changes to Killjoy and Cypher, we don't really know if the meta actually is going to be what we are expecting. So I think that's a really cool thing, that we have this huge event, but we also have huge changes to how the heroes work, which means that we don't really know what's going to happen, and maybe some of the smaller teams can cause some upsets. And that's what I'm really excited to see. We have Sky coming in here with a lot of flashes. We have Icebox coming in, and I hope to see some crazy plays on Icebox.
As you said, we have smaller teams, but small does not mean they are weak. And there is plenty of amazing talent across this tournament. I want to focus on some of the players that are standouts. You know, those that can have the biggest impact for their teams. Hypok, why don't you get us started on who you think should be a player to watch over the next 4 days?
Well, I've gone very bold. I've actually picked a Raze main. It's actually Zipan from Fun Phoenix. I mean, this guy has looked absolutely fantastic for a team that, in my eyes, you know, FPX have been on an upward trajectory recently, you know, really closing the gap and becoming one of the top contenders in the region. A lot of this comes around, you know, that duelist role is the one we expect to go out, make these highlight plays. I mean, his aim is on point, and just the way in which he plays Raze has been fantastic to see.
Yeah, personally, I know you all probably expected me to say something like a Sova player, but I'm actually gonna do something different. I'm gonna go with Mixwell. And Mixwell, of course, he's a Jet player, and of course, he's using the daggers, and he's using the operator a lot, what we call the Wardell kick W strat, if you'd like. And the reason why this is so common is because it works so well. If there is a really strong Jet player with a really good reaction time, and he plays really well with the operator, it's really hard for a team to counter it at the moment. So it's gonna be excited to see if any teams are able to do just that.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It's great to speak to you. I'm sure we'll see you both on the caster desk very soon. So I am going to head back over here because there are 2 more players I feel like deserve that spot as players to watch this week. And I'm going to come to you, Lothar. Who is your pick?
I'm gonna pick someone who's, let's say, less known to the public eye, and that will be Pora from Team Heretics. Team Heretics in general is a team that I will be looking very closely after in this tournament, because I feel like they might upset, you know, a lot of teams in general. And Pora is this silent, let's say, deadly force behind the team. He's lurking a lot. He gets insanely valuable information for the teams. He's also playing Cypher, which comes hand in hand with his playstyle. And when he gets that precious clutch, like in example, the 3K that he got on bind with Classic against a full buy round, it turns the game around. Like, Pora's insane.
Pora is definitely a player to watch. I agree with you 100% there. I'm going to go back into the realms of familiarity for the general public. When we look at the players everybody will know, Scream comes to mind, 100%. And we can't go through one of these segments without bringing him up. He's got a very, very big history going throughout all of Counter-Strike. Obviously played on teams like G2, Titan, Envy. You have to say as well, though, coming into this game, he hasn't been two-dimensional. He's known for being a good individual player. But when he joined up Fish123, obviously they got Team Liquid. He was helpful in getting that. Also then moved into different roles. Sage, Breach, playing a more supportive role for the team, showing that he doesn't just play for himself. He's happy to set his teammates up for success. And then we see that even more so in his new adaptation of Jett, where he's actually, again, playing for the team, helping out with executes in a non-traditional manner, where usually Jett's the operator. And of course, we cannot have a conversation about Scream without talking about those one taps.
Of course, Mitch. And Scream will have plenty of time to click on those heads today because Team Liquid will be taking on Team Heretics in the first quarterfinals of today.
Team Liquid, they were built to be the destroyers of everything within Europe, and they missed the mark. But now they're looking to find their form again when Artist goes to G2 and they bring in Scream, another legend of the FPS genre.
They're able to get a player out of position. Scream, he runs right through. He stops somebody. No, man. 3 kills on him, flawless round to close.
His skill is unmatched. Mechanically speaking, he's a god, and he has shown that in many different games, and he's doing it again in Valorant. This Liquid lineup, if anything, have a great balance between extremely skilled player and versatile, game sense heavy players.
How do you think you're going to match up to the likes of G2 and FPX, and are you even practicing against them at this point?
Don't practice versus the top teams. Like we've tried practicing them before, but then it gets to a point where no one wants to show anything. Exciting aspects of coming up against Heretics is the fact that they seem to be using Sage on every map.
6 HP and he sticks it. Oh, that's a robbery.
Something not really seen since the beta. So it's going to be a bit of a meta shift for us and something that we need to be able to adapt to quickly to be able to take the win versus them.
And what do you think you have in terms of like the biggest advantage over those type of teams?
We've got Sliggy and Scream. The SNS duo, those guys. Sliggy's got the fucking master brain and Scream just hits the headshots.
This is one of these teams where, you know, between Lowell and Nuki and their previous success, like, let's be real, they were challengers in CS. You would expect them to look to success in a very hungry fashion. Line up and knock down. Ooh, 3, 4.
Honestly, mate, that looks so easy. Was it as easy as it looked to us?
Yeah, like, I'm pretty much playing Omen and Brim. I didn't do my teammate just did their thing pretty much.
How is this happening? A 5 versus...
He gets 3 with the classic! When you look at their stats, they're amazing. They have about 100% win rate on some maps, arguably with an easier record, but they didn't have to battle such big teams.
Catch the rotates. I mean, they're running in with their knives out. Oh, 4 kills.
Our opponent is going to be Team Liquid. I know all the players. They came from CSGO. Liquid with the Screen, they are even better, but I think we can beat them. But I think it's going to be a really close game for sure.
We have Sliggy and a Scream indeed, but they also have Fish123. Let's not forget, one of the most celebrated teams back in the beta. I mean, they have everything. They have a good coach, they have a great org, they have the backing, they have the support. In fact, there's not many things that, quite frankly, they don't have. But taking that into consideration, Mitch, do we feel like maybe they have underperformed and haven't gotten the results they should be getting, given the resources they've had over the last few months?
I mean, the only thing they're missing is a trophy at this point. And for Team Liquid, it's been a constant struggle to even get into that top 2 bracket. Really, it comes down to how the brackets are structured, whether they'll make it there. They struggle versus FPX, versus G2. And for a team like Liquid, sure, they'll be happy to be top 3, but, well, for now at least. But in the long run, if they start falling down now that these open qualifier teams come through, I think that's where the organization starts to have a little bit of a problem, where the team starts to have some issues. So I think, yes, they've definitely underperformed in that they're not competing. Because when you look at the FPX and G2 games, it's not like they're close. It's not like Liquid are just almost there. They tend to just get absolutely stomped. They're in like this tier of their own where they're not quite able to battle the top guys, but they can still beat the lower down teams.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I also kind of think the problem with Liquid is that they didn't find their identity yet. They were trying... They are known for being the most experimental team in Europe, right? They try different stuff. They try no smokes, only flashes. They try Reyna on Scream, then they pick it up for Sage, then it goes back to Reyna, and so on and so on. And finally now, I feel like in this tournament, this is a turning point for them to prove that with the Scream on Jett, they are able to play consistently and they are able to show off as a team.
Well, before we get deeper into what they're like in game, Mitch, I just wanted to quickly talk about how they got to where they are now, because even though we have this narrative of them maybe underperforming, definitely underachieving, they deserve to be here, and they did the work to get here. So talk me through their journey throughout this first strike qualifiers.
Yeah, just to echo that, they are definitely still one of the best teams in Europe, and they're very close to that top. I'd say top 4 is a safe bet for Liquid at the moment. They just need to push that little bit further. Now, going through the qualifiers, okay, best of ones, they are what they are at the end of the day. Anybody can beat anybody. That's the mantra we go with. They did have a close game versus Team Finest. It was 13-11. So we very nearly saw them have to go through the second qualifier to get into the first set of playoffs. When they made it to playoffs, again, BL1s versus HS Deer was a notable team where I was a little worried for them. They managed to come out with that 13-7 win, pretty decent. And then finally versus Prodigy, the best of 3. 13-11 on the first map. I'm getting a little bit worried, and they smacked them 13-5. At the end of the day, they went through without dropping a single map, which is fantastic for them. They made it through the first set of qualifiers and straight through the playoffs without losing a map. I don't think you can ask for much more. Again, though, some of those games were kind of close, so it's not like they're untouchable.
Well, just after everything we've seen them throughout the qualifiers, I know we didn't get that many streams, but we did see them play a best of 3. So Lothar, with all that information taken into consideration, what can we expect from this team once they get on the server? Like, what are we looking out for?
That's so interesting to talk about because, from one side, we would love to see Team Liquid play more official matches, like get more information about them in general, how they play, right? But at the same time, since they only played 7 maps in the first qualifier and they just got through to the main event, they have more time to practice. So what I expect from them is to come up with something new. Train on Icebox, be prepared for that new map, maybe train with Sky, get that new, let's say, composition to surprise the enemies. And I think this might be also a factor that will put a lot of, let's say, how do I say that? Strength against other people, other teams that didn't have that much time, especially since Heretics, they went through the second week, so they might have less time to prepare with those new stuff.
This team, they like prepping their stuff. For anyone that's been following the Valorant scene for a while, they do their homework. And that's sort of massively down to the team they have behind them, the coach Sliggy and so on. Mitch, you've worked a few events now with Team Liquid, and you've seen how they've grown and developed and how Sliggy has managed to bring so much to this team. How would you sum up sort of his efforts and his impact to a team like this?
So invaluable. I think you see it in the video there where Eccles was saying, like, we have Sliggy and we have Scream, and to be up in that area where your name is alongside Scream without even having to get on the server, I mean that's phenomenal. And you can see it in that it's not just in the prep he does behind the scenes, because let's be honest, there's no way for us to know exactly what he brings to the table because we're not in those practice sessions. But then you watch it even when he just does on his own streams. He is watching every region. He knows all the compositions that are out there. He's theory crafting constantly and pushing the team to try new things. And I think the best thing about Liquid for me is the fact that they're not afraid to be laughed at. And what I mean by that is that what you said about this Blast comp, right? When they came into Blast and they played with no smokes or nothing but jet, they're playing majority flashes. It was a composition that everybody was saying, like, how the hell do you think you can get away with that?
And it's a big tournament as well.
It was a 50K. It was the biggest tournament to date at that time. So they came into that trying a completely new thing. And obviously, and I said it at the time, so I was working that event, if it works, you're a genius. If it fails, you're a moron. Everyone's just going to laugh at you and go, how did you ever think that was going to work? But that's how you find out new things. And in a game like this, that kind of innovation is necessary. And Liquid are not afraid to be the ones to step forward and say, hey, we're going to innovate. And I guess you don't expect it from someone like G2. If you're at the top and you're winning every game, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You're not going to mess with that comp. But for someone like Liquid, they know where they are. They're good, but they need to get better. And so they do exactly what they need to. And without Sliggy there, I don't think it will be possible.
Yeah. What I really love about Valorant is that every single 2 months, we're going to have a new agent, right? So this will change the metagame constantly. Teams will have to innovate. There will be no stale moment in the metagame where teams can just be like, whatever, we just play whatever we play, right? And then there will be no innovation needed. Because I feel like those teams that will just be in their own safe place, they will just get wrecked at some point by the innovative teams.
Well, it's fair to say that Sliggy probably hasn't been challenged that much yet throughout the first Strike qualifiers, but they will have a massive challenge today because they're going up against Team Heretics, a team I know that Lothar is extremely excited about.
Yes.
Tell us why you're so excited about this team, because on paper, they are not as well established as the likes of Team Liquid.
Well, they almost went through the first qualifier, and they lost to NIP 11-13 on Aston, which was very close, by the way, like insanely close, even closer than on paper. But in general, this is a team that caught my eye because they play in a style that I love, you know? They work as a team, as just like 5 fingers on one hand, working together to establish map control, to get informations, to trade, perfect usage of utility with follow-ups. It all looks just so nice, you know? And because of that, I really put a lot of faith into Heretics when it comes to this tournament, because I feel like the public eye doesn't really know them well, right? So they don't expect anything. But when it comes to professional teams, professional players who scream against them, they actually do say they're very strong. So from my perspective, I feel like Heretics might be actually a little bit favored.
I mean, Lothar, you mentioned earlier when we talked about those 4 teams from the first batch of qualifiers that in theory, Team Liquid, G2, Summon FC and FPX, you know, are the stronger teams. But if you are saying that Team Heretics could be the favorites going into this matchup, are you then by extension saying that perhaps Team Liquid are unlucky that they drew the short straw? They probably picked the worst and the hardest opponent they could have gotten?
I do think so. I think Heretics is the strongest team coming from week 2, and it's a little bit unlucky for Liquid to already meet them.
I think I have to agree with that 100%. I think they're the toughest team by far. No, Panky would be uncomfortable just because they've got those individuals, but a team like Heretics, I mean, I've got personal history with Niso. I know him from way back in Battalion. He was an insane player back there. He's coming into this, again, delighted to see him coming in on a top team. What was interesting to me even, and it builds on your point of saying Heretics are the favorites, and listen, for the last few months, I've been a big spokesperson of, as everyone has really, ranks mean nothing. And I don't just mean that in my matchmaking games, because I'll say it there too, but ranks in terms of the ranking systems that websites have. But if you look at VLR.gg, currently rated number 4th are Heretics, while Liquid are 8th. So actually, even according to that system, now take it with a massive, I wouldn't say a pinch of salt, I'd say a bucket of salt, but still, you will see that those stats say that Heretics are the favorites. And I think we're in for a really tight game between these two. I think Heretics will bring the fight to them. And for Liquid, this is someone that they might even struggle to prepare against, because a lot of the maps that Heretics have got on record are in that first strike qualifier where they weren't actually being streamed. So that's another big issue.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sorry, go on, Lothar.
In general, the rankings right now are kind of like pointless because we don't have just enough sample size to actually judge the teams. But once we're getting more and more into, you know, competitive scene, more tournaments next year with the Challenger Series, Master Series, and then Worlds, this is something that will just show which teams should be perceived as the best ones. Right now, it's very fidgety, let's say.
I mean, I'm just going to have to speak up for Team Liquid real quick, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this who aren't going to be massively happy with you two saying that Heretics are going into this as the favorites. But Mitch, I'm going to let you tell us how Heretics got here, because maybe if we had a little bit of context, we can sway a few people.
Well, I mean, their route has been pretty tough, right? They had to fight in a lot of games. As I said, you were bringing up earlier.
13 maps.
30 maps?
13.
13. So the system that they had, they were building up across 2 weeks, BO1 after BO1 against teams that they didn't know. And it's tough, you know? These open qualifiers is something that we highlighted. And actually, to be honest, I didn't think we would see G2, FPX, and Liquid all make it through in the same run, especially with Summon there as well. Those are what I consider the top 4 teams. I thought Summon would be upset, you know, a random team you've never played against. Maybe they're playing Sage and Viper or something like that on Haven. You're just not ready for it. But no, they managed to make it through. So for Heretics, it was a real grind for them. The problem for me is that even with the fact that they managed to make it through, you look at their history, they're mostly flawless, but you look at the teams they're playing. They're never really the best. They haven't played any of what we'd say are like the top 10 teams out there at the moment.
Well, in week 2, it was definitely easier for them than in week 1. Not even because of the fact that they advanced through week 2, but the results in every single map they had was like 13-4, 13-5. the closest one was against Martin Gaming 13-10, but that's about it. Every other map was just basically a stomp. In the playoffs for them was against Finest, which they won 13-2 and 13-3. Like, that's basically nothing.
And
right?
actually, an interesting point then, what I was saying about Finest earlier, that was the team that Liquid beat 13-11 on Bind. So a very different scoreline there between those two teams playing the same opponent.
I mean, we can't judge anything by that. I think we're
Transitive
getting
properties.
dangerous territory here. It's interesting you guys brought up maps because for the first time ever, we will have 5 maps in this tournament. And the new pick and ban system means there are plenty of chances for teams to bring out Icebox. I do have confirmation that the map vetoes are in. Let's see what Team Liquid and Heretics decided to go with. Well, we won't be seeing Icebox, unfortunately, because it has been banned out. Heretics banned Icebox, and Team Liquid, as kind of predicted, banned Haven, which means they are going to start on Split, and followed by Ascent and Bind. Starting on Split, for me, is absolutely crazy. For those of you who don't know this, it's a massively Team Liquid favor map. Of course, they picked it. I'm actually surprised Heretics didn't ban out Split and just float Icebox. But Lothar, what do you think about those map picks?
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Like, Heretics, I don't think they ever played Split in their week 1 or week 2. I don't even think they played it in any officials. So
they played it twice, I think I managed to find in officials. But that's going back a while. That's across their 35 on record.
So when I was watching their VODs, I never have seen anything for Split because they just kind of don't play it. So I'm really surprised here. Really surprised because we know that Team Liquid is very strong on Split. They have it prepared. I think that, as you said, might be their favorite map. So letting them allow to play it, it's kind of weird. But at the same time, this might be telling us a different story. Maybe Heretics know that Liquid prepared so well on Icebox that it's even stronger for them than Split.
So the games that Heretics have played on Split were versus Giants and Movistar. It was 2 out of 35 of their maps on record were played on that map. That's pretty tough. You know, to leave that through, to me, tells me that they've actually been preparing specifically for First Strike. That they've come into this to sort of float and allow the statistics to say that maybe this isn't a map that they play, probably something they'll ban so teams don't prepare against them. And it's something that we've actually been excited to see from a lot of the teams out there. Were they going to be hiding things, hiding strats, hiding map pools, and faking out? Maybe you scrim constantly on Haven, but you plan to ban it. That sort of thing. And evidently, or I would hope so, that's something that Heretics have done because this is the strongest map for Liquid. In the last 3 months, they've played 13 maps, and a lot of those have been split, and a lot of those have been split wins as well. So I would be quite scared if I was Heretics coming into this one blind.
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to play Liquid on Split. That would be my permaban. However, are we saying that this could be like a 10,000 IQ move by Heretics? Because there is no VOD out there. Sliggy cannot possibly anti-strat Heretics on Split. This could just be a free win because there's plenty of things they can watch Team Liquid do on the other side. So they might actually have the upper hand coming into this, knowing what Liquid are going to do. But to be honest, we aren't quite sure what Heretics could do on Split, but that also means that Liquid aren't quite sure what Heretics are going to do on Split either. So either, I feel like, it's going to be a stomp, or it's going to be the biggest brain move ever. And I'm hoping it's the latter, and I'm sure you are as well, Lothar.
I hope it won't be a stomp, but this is a beautiful example of, the first Valorant major. For us as analysts, this is absolutely delightful because we can read into the strategy of the teams, learn from the teams what their playstyle right now is. The one thing I worry about is that Heretics are playing Split first. If they will get stomped by Liquid in the first map, it will put a wrench into their bike right now and they will just, fall off it because there will be no momentum. So this is a little bit worrying for me.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think realistically for Liquid, this is a high-pressure zone for them. They've gotten the map out that they would probably want, at least from our perspective. But there is always that thing in the back of my mind when it comes to an event like this in a scene that doesn't have anywhere near the same amount of games that you would have in other FPS titles going on officials, that is. You do not know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know if Heretics have exclusively practiced Split against the teams they've been playing. We don't know if they've got an amazing confusing approach to it. But based on what we're seeing, that is, on paper, a very easy first map for Liquid. I mean, I view that as a mistake because Icebox, we know Liquid have been looking to play it. I mean, Sliggy's been talking about it on a stream, the comps they were playing around with. For Heretics, maybe they want to ease away from it because they haven't got much prac. I know a lot of players don't like the map currently, although players just don't like change in general. And then the fact that Liquid have pracked it, maybe they got a little bit spooked. But maybe that's exactly what Liquid wanted.
Well, with all this on the table now, are we sticking with our predictions? Because I feel like, Mitch, you've switched teams after seeing the map vetoes. You've gone with a bit of a Heretics, because you know they could be the favorites too. Yeah, they are losing map 1.
Look, I think I'm going to go with the stats every time. I'm going to go with what I know. There's always going to be factors we can't take into consideration. So for me, Liquid get a free map. It should be at least a 2-1 win for them. I'm on their side.
Oh, Lothar, what about you? You're going to have to really sell this one for me to believe that Heretics have a chance.
You know, I was favoring them 55 to 45. Right now, with the map, the first pick, I'm not really sold myself on that 55% for Heretics, but I really hope they will just pull through and do basically an upset right now, because we all perceive Team Liquid as a tier 1 team. I'll be, let's say, maybe more certain about what will happen when I'll see the characters agent selection, right? If Heretics pick up a Viper, I'm gonna know they are prepared.
Oh, I love that, Lothar. I love that. Well, it's good that you mentioned Agent Select, because we are going into Agent Select. And now, let's see what these teams have prepared for on Split. I think on the side of Team Liquid, we are probably going to see some things we've seen already. I would be surprised if Team Liquid decide to sort of switch it up. But as you guys can see on your screen right now, that they are locking in their agents. What do we think, guys? First impressions?
I like that Scream is going to be sticking with the Jet. I think in combination with Link on Omen, they can get a lot of those executes in towards the site. As we said before, you know, Scream, we didn't talk too much on the desk about it, that he doesn't actually use the operator with this Jet. If you're looking at this, you know, as a new viewer, you're coming in, you're like, oh, okay, so Scream's the opera for this team. That's odd, because he never used it in the past. And actually, no, he still doesn't. Instead, uses those smokes so that Omen, obviously, he has that wind-up time. He lines up a smoke, throws it. You can do it at the start of the round if you want to faster execute. But then you have to get the other one, take it out, throw it, kind of line it up again, push it. There's time for it to travel, to land. It takes a long time. You're telegraphing the play that you're going to push that site if you're going for a faster execute. So that's why it's nice then to have that Jet to throw down another smoke separately, and you get into the site very quickly.
Yeah, this is a very good point, which now Heretics are actually lacking. They play, instead of a Jet, instead of a Jet, they play Reyna, which is a very egoistical character, right? She plays for herself typically. The flashes, rather the blinds that she does, have an activation time, so people can follow it up, like a breach, an example. But still, the character puts a lot of just, you know, pressure on herself instead of the team. And I'm really surprised actually by this pick, because I thought they're going to be playing with a different set of characters, since they will lose a lot of possible, let's say, execution time on attack. Right? When they play Reyna, they lack the mobility, which now the Liquid has. And this is going to be amazing to watch, because they should have a plan how to use that Reyna.
The other aspect as well that I think we need to touch on is the fact that Heretics are one of those teams that play with a Sage. We see it come through here again. And when I say one of those teams, I mean Heretics are the team. I actually don't know another team that commits as heavily as Heretics do on every single map. Could help them out on Icebox for sure, but as we come into Split, this is where I'm curious to see exactly how they're going to deploy it. I really like their combination of the Sage and Cypher to maintain control when it comes over towards Haven. But on Split versus a team like Liquid, it's going to be quite difficult to really pump the brakes on that team when they've got that faster execute potential.
Yeah, I'm kind of just weirded out by the composition by Team Heretics, because who will be on B, right? It has to be Cypher, then we have Reyna on A, but when you play Cypher on Split, you typically want to also kind of like, you know, change it up a little bit, go on one side this time, go on the second side this time, but then that leaves probably B out for Reyna. And you would like to combine Sage and Raze on Heaven B to get the combination of slows and the paint shells to get the maximum damage possible out of them. So it's gonna be a little bit awkward with that Reyna on defense. And I'm really wondering what is going to happen here.
Well, I'm very excited to see the Reyna, because it is Niso. It's finally time, guys. This is the VALORANT First Strike EU main event, and we are heading into map number 1 of Team Liquid versus Heretics. Take it away, Pansy and Hypok.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute pleasure to bring you guys this. Hypoc, I mean, we've got the agents, we've got the maps, we've got everything we need to get ourselves locked in for this very first map. But what stood out to you? Lothar questioning some of the picks from Heretics. The map pool even brought into contention as well. This is curiosities we're seeing coming out.
I think it is. I mean, they made some really good points on the desk there, especially the fact that Heretics actually is kind of an unknown coming into this. It definitely stands out as one of the stronger teams coming through, and definitely one of the challenges if we kind of separate that top four that we've been used to talking about. The one thing I will say is we're going to split first. This actually sets the upset story, to be honest with you. If Liquid lose this one out, this is, I want to say, their strongest map in terms of macro and preparation.
All right, guys, girls, everyone else. It's the first time we get to see this. First game, first map here for First Strike. You're going to have Liquid. Some of the first big names picked up. They had Scream coming in on the roster. The man's a living legend up against Heretics. Now, the desk highlighted it, and we're going to be keeping on this. These guys, we don't know what to expect. The murmurs behind the scenes, in the scrims, and everything, they turn some heads, but we haven't seen it officially. We're into this one, Hypoc. Where are we looking right now?
I mean, looking initially, obviously got a little bit of a technical pause to start things off, but looking like we've got a heavy stack over towards being the pistol round. And one thing I will say, Liquid's pistol success rate on both attack and defense on Split, it's head and shoulders above the other maps. And also, you know, on the back of that, the round 2 conversion, we know how quickly things can kind of get out of hand on Split. You know, a map can very quickly snowball.
You're spot on. And I kind of want to, though, flip the coin on that and kind of highlight the fact that we know Liquid are very good here. These guys certainly have kind of made their mark up until this point. On this map as well, some of those pistol rounds, as highlighted, this isn't something unheard of. If we know it, hopefully, the other team knows it as well.
Yeah.
They better be prepared for this. This is why a question mark comes in with Split being able to be played. Icebox being floated makes some sense here, but it does open up that pick to fall to Liquid. So again, it's a dangerous territory, but it could be looked at by Heretics.
I mean, grand scheme of things, yes, Heretics will have a better data sample to go away, do their homework, come to this event absolutely best equipped to cause that upset. But also, you know, in terms of confidence, right? Getting a front runner out in round one and advancing over that for this team, I mean, so far relatively undecorated. Not really their own fault, but this is the big hurdle, and it's the first one for me.
Yeah, and again, guys, no need to kind of keep you in the dark. Obviously, a little bit of a pause coming in, but once that's all resolved and good to go, we'll be jumping live into it. Do not fear. It's time for you to get your predictions going. Get a little thought going in chat. I can't read it. I've been told off. I'm not allowed to. But I promise you, someone out there is monitoring your predictions. I'm lying. But still, let us know who you think is actually going to be coming away with this one, because those in the know have definitely opened up a chance for a bit of wiggle room, and we may not even see it in map 1. The danger does become with the potential of a reverse sweep. I'm sure the desk could discuss that if we do see what we kind of theorize here, that technically for Liquid, I feel they are the ones who have the most to lose in this, whereas obviously the opposition here, not the same scenario. They can kind of come in as the underdogs, no real eyes on them, no real stress.
I mean, they're setting us up. They're setting us up potentially for the reverse sweep. I mean, if Liquid drop Split. And again, you know, stats-wise, there's not an awful lot to look back on and say, you know, Heretics versus Liquid, but I mean, stats-wise, you've got to be leaning towards starting as a 1-0 for Liquid here.
100%, and even then beyond that, let's take a wider picture. I know some people have been really keeping up to date at home, but Liquid have proven themselves in far more best-of-3 scenarios. So when the game has not just been that best-of-1, they do very well. They've shown depth to their map pool. They have Sliggy, the coach behind, the kind of puppet master, if you will, he's a geeky man, all right? He's worked out all the keen stuff. He's been there grinding and setting up the team. Look, Scream, that is the headshot machine, all right? He just takes his time, you know? You don't want him fired up straight away. You slow build.
Isn't that iconic? Isn't that iconic, though? That's the energy we're entering this first best-of-3 series with. I love it. But you know what? That's when he's most deadly. When he's kind of relaxed, he can go out there, do his thing. I mean, he's built that name for himself.
Exactly. I mean, this guy, when you talk about Scream, I've had the honor of casting some of his highlights from the past. And this guy knows how to handle pressure, how to deliver under pressure, whereas these other players with Liquid, yes, as of late, they have been in the spotlight. They have had pressure on them, but not to the grand scale of this. So again, having him there is actually a big bonus.
And it is a big thing. I mean, if I'm to dive a little deeper into that, Lauren, Liquid have had a rough time.
Yeah.
Since losing Ardis. That Fish 1, 2, 3 kind of legacy, there's a there's an allowance period after obviously that roster change. And obviously since Scream coming into this, we've seen glimmers of hope. We've seen glimmers of magic from Liquid, but they need to solidify that consistency.
And I hate to be the naysayer. And I'll do it for the sake of those who know this game inside out, who've been dedicated since the very opportunity to watch it. People did question, was Scream the right fit?
Yes.
Is he a natural-born opper, for example? Because that's what they were kind of missing when they lost Ardis, who's proven to be a very diligent secondary opper for G2.
Yes.
Now, picking up someone like Scream, you do get a couple of bonuses, right? You get the man can hit headshots, and at the very core of it, you put the mouse on the head and you click, and you win at least the fight. But there has been that question for sure. I think a lot of people are still impressed, and it looks like we are almost ready to go. So guys, thank you for your patience. It's time now to get ourselves ready. You can see everyone's back in the server, but as we see it's in the server, I have full faith the game will be starting very soon.
Well, as well, this other conversation on the desk, and I know they touched on it with Scream moving over to the Jet. This is, I think, going to be the first real test of that change, that internal change. Because obviously we look at Reyna, she's very self-sufficient. You know, you've got that peel ability. You can put yourself into a one-and-done spot and actually have that get-out-of-jail-free card if you hit the shots. And again, it goes without saying, Scream is a player that will hit that shot 9 times out of 10.
Now, kind of let's take it a step back as well. It's not just the Scream show, though. Liquid have proven, without him, you could argue they were just as strong, if not stronger, in a different meta in the game, in a different version of the game. These very early start with Ardis and when they were Fish 1, 2, 3. But that was a different time, and these are very different opponents. The opponents they're coming up against, these guys are grinders. And if people have paid attention, they'll know a couple of names. I know a couple of names. They come from previous titles. They have experience aplenty. Who stands out to you with Heretics? Who's the name you want to watch? I'm looking at to see if Scream performs to the level I want to see Scream perform at. But from Heretics, where's your eyes going?
My eyes go towards Niso and Pora. Those are two guys that have come up huge time and time again in terms of clutch and just putting in consistent work for Heretics.
All right. No pressure, guys. You just have Hypoc judging you. But the time is almost counting down. Again, once again, thank you for your patience. It wouldn't be the first event if there wasn't a lot.
You get to listen to us for a few minutes.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. All right, we are live into this one. We can kind of take stock of everything we've expected, but I want a vicious start from Liquid to really pose a threat and pose a point to be made. But it's Heretics getting a little aggy to start with. I like this, but look at this mid-control straight away, flying up, instantly looking for fights, and they're going to find them and lose them. Scream goes down early, and Heretics, would you go back? Would you? Ooh, the double dip, going to take down 2, but now an avenue is opened.
Yeah, and actually Niso kind of staying alive for as long as possible. Pora's actually got a huge task ahead of him here. Echo's going to fall. Nakia finds that one. Soulcast trades back. Cryptics finds Nakia as well. So it's down to one-man. Cryptics now coming into heaven. He finds himself in a 1v2 situation. Peeks actually out. Finds that one.
He's isolated it. But does he know where? Oh, my word, I thought he had it. I thought he'd isolated the Omen on the other side well enough, but no. And we discussed those pistol rounds for Liquid. They were a high point, but the pace the opposition just came in with, they were willing to find information fast.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I'm going to take a look at it now, obviously with the benefit of seeing how the buy's going to come out. Liquid, notorious for buying back into round 2. This is that play with Niso in ropes. He actually gets the heal up. The trap wire gets activated as well, but the double swing from Liquid obviously eventually trades that out. But, I mean, the round's kind of done there when Rain is able to get 2 kills in ropes like that.
But I liked what Heretics did on their defensive side. They got aggressive over by B halls, and we might see it again. This might be a consistent or something they just simply want to train into the heads of Liquid. This could be something that, hey, you don't get this for free. So we keep map control building in our favor.
Yeah, I like this. Heretics, again, like you said, starting that conditioning process. Nakia actually sends the boom bot into mid. Links lined up with this paranoia as well. He's actually going to send it in. Nakia's going to get caught off guard here. The triple swing through Mail does get away with his life. They do have the option to heal. You see now we'll send that over, but Liquid finding 4 in heaven here.
They're playing for territory. They've taken angles, they've taken space, and if they're patient, they'll hold for a second, see if again anyone gets over-aggressive, if anyone peeks into this and allows a pick to happen. The purchase is substantially better with Heretics. Look at the guns. They've upgraded a few, no big rifles out, but enough to, pack a punch here. So looking at that, you've got to consider here that Liquid are playing a smart game. They want to try and force the opponents to make a mistake, but for now, we're seeing a very patient side.
Yes. Yeah, you can see now they're just waiting for... I mean, Heretics not really giving anything away, obviously, against these pistols. They're going to go for a full-on push towards the stairs here. Cryptics will eventually trade that one out. Niso now in the defensive spawn, got to get something done to stop this push.
yes and no. He can hold this deeper angle. It does give up the site, and they might fall into a retake, but with Scream doing some work, this is getting dangerous. That's a nice little response, though. Scream being quelled is going to help, but keep your eye on the spike and where they go with this. They're down to 18 seconds. They're running the clock low, and they're running the opponent slow, but they need to make their move. That frenzy to hand is going to kind of pale in comparison to even these SMGs, which are doing the work. The spike plant would be fantastic. Gets denied. Well played by Heretics here. Maintaining composure is absolutely essential.
Now, it's going to be important to note here whether or not we see Heretics again go for that control of the garage, again start that conditioning process and kind of make Liquid just second guess it, be fearful of whether or not that push is going to come out. Obviously, a few weapons going to be saved across in that round from Heretics. One, they are coming onto the board, but obviously the buy from Liquid is strong back into this one.
Yeah, looking back on the buy, we do seem to have rifles out. Look towards Scream. Maybe some aggressive play towards middle could be the way to open this one up. I'm still looking at Scream on Jet to see what he brings to the forefront with this. Mid control is going to be key, especially on Split. It's one of those maps that really does lend to it. However, seeing Heretics take extremity control is also a wonderful answer. Quick little mid fight. That's a little bold, but it does force some utility out and show presence.
It does indeed. And you know, getting some damage down on Eccles as well, that can cause a problem later on in the round. But he's got 3 to worry about. His Scream just swings on that one, lands the headshot.
What? How did... excuse me? What is going on this round? This is very, very messy. This looks nervous play almost. I hate to say it, but it doesn't look as clean as they'd like. And well, for now, we do see the res coming back up. So for Heretics, they will at least get some of their buddies back into action. Scream, you know, we're gonna let it slide. He's still a little new to Jet, but you're right. They've caused rotations. Omen's still lingering, so you're gonna have at least information. And look at those rotations. 3 through spawn for Heretics. They know they're in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Scream's gonna lead the way, but already players being lost left and right. Where is that spike? In the hands of Omen for now. And there we go. Spike should be planted, and we should be in a post plant.
You can see actually Heretics stacked up over towards defensive spawn. Pora headed over towards the heaven. Let's see how they try and crack this retake here. A little bit of utility down on site for Liquid as well, so it's going to give a little bit of information if any of those players do decide to peek out. But yeah, the dark cover comes down. Here comes the push.
Yeah, Niso's going to be the first one there, at least for now. A little bit of an alarm bot will ring the alarm, but it's patient. It's slow. They're waiting for that pick to be given, but they're not getting one, and suddenly Scream denies the first. That's Pora dead. We're down to just 2. Niso and Lol trying to make something happen, but they're given no opportunities, and Scream is denying everything. Just a 1v2. And maybe they can do some damage, but the defuse was a mile away from ever happening. Link going to be the safe pair of hands.
Yeah, initially I like that. Heretics obviously backing away, giving up B. They're kind of resorting to that retake factor. Feeling as if I guess they were pretty well set up for it, but also, you know, of over playing his life effectively there. There's no point him committing to holding site, maybe getting, you know, 1 or 2 kills on the way in. They still lose the site, the spike's going to go down. So really good stuff from Heretics there defensively. Unfortunately, couldn't pull together the retake. Looking back at this, obviously we did see the economy was a little busted for Heretics there, so seeing a couple of scuffed weapons here. But Scream did fantastic work from the backside here. Again, Link just has to wait this out. At this point, time's in their favor.
Yeah, playing the time perfectly. And it looks like we're right into this. Again, pacey start, but I still have to go back to that conditioning until Scream's taken 2. Just cracks open middle, continues forward. The man's aggression knows no bounds. He was desperate for it to land, but he just styles on Avova. Goodbye, I've just got the sight for you. Is that a little bonus maybe from Liquid coming in the paycheck? I feel so. And maybe he's not done. Finally gives it up, but the information's found. The sight's theirs and the spike's down.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Again, the aggression that Heretics showed gave Liquid an inkling they can push mid like that, and Screen just absolutely popping off. I mean, you shouldn't have got that 3rd kill, I've got to say.
I mean, the thing is, rolling it back a bit, it was on a lighter purchase coming out from Heretics. It wasn't the full investment, but having a freebie like that and getting Scream confident like that is going to only help you going forward. If Pora can get some damage done here, that would be wonderful. Maybe take some rifles away. Not going to be the case. Cryptics, again, well played, calm, controlled, and we look at a pretty even start here.
Yeah, it has been. I like that response from Liquid. Again, just kind of bouncing back off of what Heretics has shown them in the first couple of rounds by committing to that kind of B garage presence. Liquid there. I mean, in the previous round, we saw 3 stacked up. It was Scream, Eccles, and I think Cryptics down the bottom mid. This is that 3rd kill. Avova should have had that one, but I mean, we'll give it away to Scream. But like I said, I love that response from Liquid to kind of just pivot to another side of the map and take aggressive control early round.
Yeah, I want to see Heretics' next kind of level. We're starting to see at least Liquid smooth back into this game. And again, the mid presence going to continue. It feels like they've just let Scream off the leash. They've gone, right, take your fights and do that. Open it up again and again. This confidence is building. Information relayed, but well played by Pora just to deny any take there, to be too quick.
And actually, nearly getting caught off guard there as he tried to activate the cage. Nobody from Liquid opting to push through. You can see Soulcast has got himself tucked in at the top of rank, and now a slow push comes through. Maybe a bit of a stalemate here with this wall cutting off Heaven.
And I don't mind taking a pause for thought here for Liquid. They've taken the early damage. Initial picks will always favor an attacking side, even if it's a 1-for-1, because generally they can stack a site. And it looks like a potential misread, or maybe just hedging their bets for the defensive team here. They've already kind of backed away from the stack towards A they were considering. Yeah,
maybe this is to explore some information back towards mid, but here you go. Cryptic's actually going to drop down the ultimate in Heaven. Nakia, I mean, he's kind of stuck in this corner. He can't really go back to the defensive spawn. Cryptic's eventually going to shut that one down with the Bulldog. Now the rotation comes through. They have to hold back in the spawn for the time being, which is going to give site control over to Liquid.
Yeah, this should be a spike plant and a decent post plant as well to boot. This should be pretty comfortable. Retake-wise, to be fair, these post plant positions are all on the site. So there is actually an opportunity for some damage to be done. Spike is going to go down. Let's have a look at where they try and find that first foot forward. Not any players playing outside of the site. I don't know if I like this. This gets a little risky. Again, I feel as though they should be able to control it. First contact made, draws out the utility, backs away, but now double dipping in. Cryptics is there on the crossfire. This is going to get sketchy, but already a 1-for-1 trade out. Numbers still favor Liquid, so they will control. But again, it's getting a little close and a little uncomfortable, but we do have now the 1v1. Looking at LoL here, he looks like he's got the angle, but it gets ripped away. And yes, Liquid, this is getting dicey, but they are just winning out.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the decision-making happening there. Cryptic's managed to get his utility into elbow. Eccles was considering sending that fault line down, or maybe sending through a flash and clearing out screens. I mean, it was two players stacked up there, so potentially could have backfired on them. But this lockdown here, again, completely zoning off this control from Heaven. Once they find that kill, it pretty much gifts them site control. But you make an interesting point. They didn't make it easy for themselves by all committing to site post-plant.
Potentially they didn't expect Heretics to back away that much. They probably thought there were a couple of players closer by, and I actually think that's a pretty fair shout. We do see a bit of an eco round coming in. It's going to be a lot lighter. Last time around on these, we did see Scream kind of just pop off and run through them, but maybe some danger could be found. It looks like a little bit of damage could have been had. No, Soulcast deals with it very comfortably. The push out may have found information, but this default has held perfectly.
Yeah, again, just, I mean, Heretics just looking to do some damage, maybe take a weapon off the board for the next round. I mean, at this point, you know, Nakia, anything that he does get done is a bonus at this point. But again, this is the first time we've kind of seen Liquid resort to that default. Again, reading into the buy perfectly. They're set up to counter some of that early aggression we've seen from Heretics.
Yeah, I think that's a great mid-round call. Whoever made that for Liquid, very well done. This could be just how they approach it now. Maybe they've gone through the depths of, right, when we know we're up against an eco, maybe a little bit of a forced up purchase, we hold a default, we just hold the line, and then we just lean in towards a site eventually. So a very nice play coming out, and it's kept them all standing. This will build their economy to a much better point.
Yeah, I think actually Eccles might catch the timing here on Nakia. He's tucked into sewers. He's desperately looking for, I mean, he just wants a kill at this point. Link, I think, he's going to find it in 3, 2, 1. There we go. So, going to clean that one up. That is a flawless gaming presented by Prime Gaming. Really good stuff again from Liquid, kind of holding on to that. Not allowing Heretics to find any value, to be honest.
And I do want to see now the reins kind of being taken back by Heretics. Those initial rounds, those initial moments. The pistol and a little bit of a run seemed to go well, but then Scream arrived and went, no, absolutely not. So I need to see them take back some control here. I like the initial foray they had in towards that aggression towards B-Halls, the Omen there, pushing up a little, getting in their face, but they then lost mid-control. So there has to be an answer to this mid-play, and it might be this. A little bit more attention, a little bit more of a committed player towards it could be an answer.
Yeah, I mean, they've read into the fact they cannot give this up for free. They have to hold it in some manner. This time around, again, Liquid with a heavy stack, really, you could call it 3 players. There's 2 down in sewers and 1 over towards Sushi. You can see Link crouching behind that dark cover, and now that that's dropped, maybe this is an opportunity for Scream to swing again. The fault line comes through. Niso's managed to tuck himself behind boxes here. If he can get one in this position, he might be able to peel away. Scream misses it. Niso going to grab that, dismiss away, makes it into Mail. Fantastic play from him.
Yeah, that is everything you wanted. He has achieved his role perfectly. He can fall away from this now. They've lost that mid control that was working perfectly for Team Liquid. Now they have to look towards other options. And they haven't had a great deal of information beyond mid so far. So it looks like potentially A is where they're considering, as you can see the lean starting to come out. Still utility being put down by the defensive side, but let's see where Heretics take this. Already you got kind of a two-play lean towards A. Middle is being slightly controlled by, you know, a couple of players, but it's passive. Now hearing this, they've got to know what's coming already. Soulcast just leaps in. This is going to be big ground gain, and he's further ahead than they expect, but my word, that was just absolutely whiffed from that. Pora's done so much, even without being on the side, and Pora's continuing to do more. Niso's already over there. This is now Liquid looking a little worse for wear. Cryptic's trying to hold on, buy some time, puts it down. We hear the ult being popped, comes in, does get Link, but now it's Cryptic's left in a 1v4. All the utility now poured in. He is surrounded on all fronts, and Heretics hold the line.
Fantastic round from Pora, and that's those situations we've seen him in before. He's able to just peel away, play it from his distance. Again, both trap wires working out fantastically for him on the crossover to site, and both cages lined up as well. So that's 2 free kills just off the back of the placement of his utility. Really, really good hold from, on the back of Pora's work there.
Yeah, I think that was a very quintessential Cypher round.
Yes,
Look at that as like everything you've ever dreamed of just comes through. And again, I still want to highlight that back to that Reyna play towards middle. That was the first step that got them forced into the position to have to lean towards the A side. That is a lovely adjustment coming through.
I mean, you said yourself, that's textbook. He's in a one-and-done spot, he finds it, but the fact that Reyna can dismiss and peel away, that get-out-of-jail-free card is so huge when you make kind of solo plays like that.
4-3 now. Liquid's run has definitely been met. The answer has been made, but it's hard to replicate that. You can't put Reyna back down middle. That's something you can't do. It's not something that's easily replicated, but it's definitely sent enough of a note to Liquid that they're going to consider something else. This looks all in.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 players of Heretics on this side of the map. Over actually stacked over. They do have the wall down blocking off entrance from Garage. Obviously, Liquid going to get this information as soon as they come across it. Probably going to be expecting. You can see, actually, going to clear that out with some utility from Eccles. Vova going to opt to maybe put down the dark cover to time it well with this wall dropping, but Liquid hesitating a little bit on the fact that they're greeted by a wall at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, clock's down to sub 1 minute now. And I'd have loved to see Heretics maybe starting to explore the map a little, but that could potentially play into opening up to a pick on, for Scream. But this is going to run the clock incredibly low. I
mean, this is the problem. If you stack 5 up like that into Garage, expecting to be able to push in, you then have to second-guess yourself on the entirety of the rest of the map. You've got to consider, have Heretics wandered out, tucked themselves somewhere. Looking like actually now in a default back. Spike's still in Garage, 3 members going towards Heaven here. And actually, the Rolling Thunder comes through. They're going to push in, Lauren.
Yeah, it's going to be led the way by, it looks like Scream for now, but no real contest met until then. Suddenly 2 quick kills come in for the Heretics, and they hold everything that was being poured in. The only bit of success came through the B main push. That's about it, and now you have Link slowly creeping his way out. Down to about 10 seconds, though. They're running low on time. Now the retake could come in, or they could take the fight now, and it looks like they want the fight now. Already, Link's gone, and we're down to just 1, and maybe 1 is enough. He's got to rush this, though. He has to find the kill, and Pora denies it. A little bit of a sniff of what could have happened, but no, a swift little backhand, and Heretics, they hold under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Pora, fantastic crosshair placement just to find that. And again, I don't think Eccles, it would have been close if he'd have found that before the clock ran down, but that actually ties things up. And again, I got to say it, just the fact that you're committing that much to Garage there, the wall basically breaking that round down. Like I said, you saw how slowly they had to progress through mid. And yes, then invested the Rolling Thunder to get access to B Heaven. It kind of puts yourself on the back foot once you've burned off all that time.
Looking at that early utility investment and positioning, this looks like maybe a mid to A split, at least for now, considering where that Spike's currently being held with Cryptics, but they haven't had a massive amount of information on this. They've done a couple of late plays, but this has been read. Whoever's got the information from this has got it perfect. We have 4 players stacked on this side already for the defensive team.
Yeah, you see the camera placement there is perfect for the cross. Scream again, walk up through middle. Niso tucked down into the ropes, but the fault line actually coming through. It's going to stop Scream from advancing and closing down the kill. Does clear out the trap wire though, but Heretics got to hold the line here at Heaven. Oh my god, Niso dropping down, finds Scream in ropes.
I've got to say, Heretics have a fantastic read on this. They're They are in the right place at the right time. Liquid are up against it. Normally you have player advantages, but for now it's a great isolated pick up there. Now looking to further it up, you still have players here and you still have the kills coming in. 2 huge kills towards Heaven has created so much space that suddenly that stack actually might not matter.
You go, Link actually going to try and find someone on the backside. Pora finds a headshot from sight. They're traded out by Cryptics. Not expecting the second player. And Soulcast actually going to bring this down to a 1v1 now. They're all down on site. Half HP. Soulcast still up 100. He's actually going to commit to the reset. Pora back on site.
That is such a risky play and so well handled. Oh my, we are making me nervous here today. These two teams are so well matched. I mean, okay, we came into this saying that this is Liquid's good map, right? This historically has been excellent for them. Pistols, everything. We've seen it against tier 1 teams, but this is a lot more resistance than I expected.
I think the one thing that kind of plays to Liquid's advantage is that they can set the bar. Obviously, we know split sometimes is all about your attacking half, and I mean, I still think you're better off attacking first. You set the bar, you obviously then know what task is ahead of you for defense.
Okay. Liquid, you've got to have more up your sleeve here. You're going to see Soulcast on a bit of a lighter purchase, it seems. A couple of them maybe lacking some of the funds, but that mid control has once again being at least commandeered for Heretics for now. You have the Reyna placed there again, the additional player put through, joined in as well. By at least one other player kind of floating between kind of B Heaven and a little bit towards Melrin, but aggression again, Pora isolating Soulcast, and now information aplenty. It's all going to be seen here. Scream does succeed towards middle, so maybe a quick switch up could come in, but for now, if you're Liquid, you feel like you've been a little too seen.
Yeah, you can see actually he's going to draw the rotation back out on the back of Scream. Manages to get himself up here. Nucky actually inside the cloud burst here. He's going to be met by 2 Scream finds another headshot. Now Liquid going to find themselves into Heaven. The Paranoia actually going to come back in response potentially. No, not yet. He's going to wait on his teammates. I like that from Avova. Saving this utility for the retake should have come through. Actually, he's going to come through. Link will shut him down.
Yeah, trying to be a smoke criminal, but Link shows him how it's done. 2 big picks, and now we're going to see just one. Where is Pora in this? A mile away. You know, it is the downside of having to, bide your time towards A, but this retake is so unlikely. Maybe take a couple of guns away would be ideal, but let's see what Pora can do. The man is incredibly talented, but this is beyond steep. A double stack towards sight, it seems. You still have Jet towards Heaven. There's so many angles to get through. Pora knows it. Maybe trying to just play for a couple of kills would be good, but now time beginning to tick. And just reveals position. Nicely done by the Killjoy, and the aim was nice on the first, but Cryptics well controlled on the swing there.
Yeah, I mean, really good stuff from Liquid on the back of that neural theft to obviously swing back to another side of the map, rethink things a little bit. You made an interesting point about, what do they pull out of their sleeve? Do we think Liquid are going to kind of show some strats here? Obviously, this is split. You've got to say this is their best map. Maybe this is the one where the playbook is deepest. Are they going to want to show their hands against Heretics in the first game of this tournament?
It depends how much you read into this defensive side that we've seen so far from Heretics, right? This is the first look at things. This is the first kind of example of what Liquid have been up to in that little bit of a time down and how much they're prepared for this. It's hard to take a huge amount away from this, but again, we're seeing that wall come in. I like this. I actually really like what Heretics are doing here on their defensive side. This bodes well for me. But this mid-take from Scream has been a problem, and it's been a hard problem to deal with. This guy is a nuisance, and he's creating space for the rest of Liquid to try and crack open on towards one of these sites.
Well, I mean, they're able to convert it, and that's the important thing. Once they're given this territory, you can see in just the speed at which they react, and they convert that into 1 or 2 kills potentially. It's getting them access to the site time and time again.
Yeah, the op a little bit trickier to get a hold of these days. The economy change is making it certainly a prized possession. And you can see Jet, I thought that pick was there all day long, but again, territory is gained, and that op becomes a little bit more neutered every single step of map control that they garner.
Yeah, Nucky having to back all the way up into defensive spawn. Liquid still lurking around here. 3 in mid. One actually, you can see Soulcast looking over towards. He's got a surprise. If he swings on this, Pora actually going to find the headshot with the Bulldog, shut that one down, and that's a bit of a problem for Liquid now. I think it's going to be the catalyst really to push them towards this B site potentially, but Spike going through ropes here, Lauren.
30 seconds
yeah, and I'm looking at Pora. They still have players here.
Yeah.
And if they get... Wait, are they misreading this? Are they over-rotating? Oh no, if they just hold the line, surely Pora's going to feel this out. He now knows the pressure's on. He now knows he's in trouble. Scream is checking every angle, but not the right one. Suddenly, you've got Reyna making a bit of a last-minute appearance, but with 10 seconds on the board, that spike needs to get to sight. Lol tries to do everything he can. You've got them pouring in, and it's all gone so well. Heretics just about make it back around.
I mean, I can't believe that. They were halfway through rotating. I think they must have got an audio cue or something to stop that, because they were ready. As soon as the lockdown went down, that was what pulled those members of Heretics away from Heaven into the defensive spawn to start that rotation. So, I mean, the time is a factor again for Liquid. They're leaving it down to the buzzer.
I mean, I like mid-round calls. I think they're fantastic. I think they can get you a lot of room. But that was dangerous and very late in the day, and you're leaving it down to elements that you can't control anymore. So, right, back in we go, back into the fray. This looks like a hefty lean, but we haven't seen a big fight towards Avova early game. He's been kind of getting away with taking this much control, and then obviously setting that Sage wall into play.
Yeah, I mean, Liquid are happy to kind of give this up. I say that, look at this. Scream actually, updraft over. Trades 1 for 1. Avova still there, and we'll find Eccles. So, coming out on top initially for Heretics.
They've done incredibly well. It's the first time we've got to actually see what that looks like, and we're seeing it time and time again. Avova's success towards Link is just merely marking that, and yeah, the little Roomba can come for a party, but it doesn't seem to matter. For me, this is on Scream to find some more room. Knives out. He's got to do some heavy lifting, and if they get this pick in mid, suddenly the map feels wide open.
And Niso again, himself into a cheeky little spot. Even if he finds the one here, it's good.
Oh, it's not clean, but it does mean at least Scream is down. That's the danger man gone, as Soulcas is left with a 1v3 at hand. 40 seconds. Spike is in play, so he at least has that. Gonna clear out as he goes, but it's not subtle. And for now, hearing that's gonna make you feel so paranoid, but you're gonna see the utility pop, the ultimate comes out, tries to clear a corner for free potentially, but it's take your pick. It's no good choice can be made, and there is no right choice as Pora is there. Excellent work from Heretics. Again, I love this aggression. They're ready for it. They are bringing out everything right now.
Yeah, I mean, a fantastic statement to make, really, by Heretics here in Game 1. Starting off on Liquid's strongest map, arguably. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far, Lauren.
Yeah, this is a statement piece already. Guys on the desk, break this down for me. There is so much already to take away from this. Hello.
Hello.
We'll go back to the desk in a second's time to talk you through that, because there is a lot to be said, to be fair. That was an incredibly good start, at least I feel, for Heretics to make a point, is what I'm going to say on that one. However, I'm going to leave it up to the desk, hopefully, to give us a little bit more insight on that, as they are truly capable of doing so. So we can head over there, hopefully.
Thank you so much, Pandy. Wow, 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 and wow. We knew this was going to be a close game going into it. We maybe had less faith in Heretics because it is on a split. But they had a fantastic start. I did not expect Heretics to be the team that would be able to win a pistol round against Team Liquid on their map pick. Lothar, you watched that round and you had your jaw absolutely on the floor. Talk us through that first pistol round and why you think Heretics came out on top.
There were a few things that really surprised me. First of all, Heretics bought 5 ghosts. Not a single person went with a small shields, with a utility, that would help out the team. They instead went for the firepower, and instrumental to this round was actually the Reyna. Reyna, when you have a Reyna on your team, she is basically built to win pistol rounds on her own. She's a tank. When she gets a first kill and then heals to 150, she's almost unkillable. And here, Niso getting the double kill on Vents was basically setting up the entire round, because they have a 4 versus 3 after that. And it should have been like 100% win for Heretics. But it wasn't that easy, because right after that, I feel like Liquid caught the moment in the timings to catch Heretics unprepared. And they were typically something that we see in Heretics is good trades. In this pistol round, it was lacking. They didn't have good trades prepared, they didn't have the timings correct, and they had to guard the spike on Heaven while being in a 1 versus 1 fights. So in general, it was a little bit messy, but Heretics came on top, and that was instrumental to getting a 7-5 half.
Yeah. You know, one of the things actually, when you talk about Arena, having her on your team and the pistol, absolutely, it's valuable. I think a lot of the time that opening, you'll tend to see dismisses out of it, but because the double is there, you can dismiss and heal. It's the best of both worlds. The other side of it as well is not just in the pistol, but you better be fragging, because there is very little argument for Arena being a support player, you know? We saw Scream when he first took Arena out way back a couple months ago. He was actually playing that as a flash. It was instead of the breach that they slotted it in. Then realized, you know, when people start getting very comfortable just shooting those leers, it's probably not best to have that kind of a role. They switch over to the breach, and then it evolves from there. So what I'll say for Niso is he fulfilled his duty. He's been fragging. He had a good half. That's exactly what we need. Now it gets a little bit scarier because on the defense is where we highlighted Reyna as being a problem for the team. On the attack, though, it's kind of the opposite. She can force those fights, take openings, re-heal off them, and open a lot of space for her team. And considering Niso is already feeling it, and I've seen it from him year on year over in Battalion, this guy, when he's confident, he's untouchable. You will not get him, you know, it'll be very hard to knock him down a peg. And right now, he looks like he's on fire.
I mean, it must feel so good to be beating Team Liquid with Arena. You know, you are getting into Scream's head. I feel like this is what you need to do when you're playing against Team Liquid on Split. But I also want to stress that, like you said, going into the next half, Niso, we are assuming that he's going to frag out, but if he doesn't step up, is he almost going to be a liability for his team going into the next half? I mean, 7-5 is looking pretty comfortable for Heretics, but is that enough, especially if Niso decides to take a break?
Yeah, I think 100%. If Niso slows down, that's where the problems start. Like, this is his time to shine. This is his half with the composition they've gone for. And really, we need to see then Niso deliver. I'm excited. I want to see him come out fragging. I mean, as I said, we go back a long time, so it's really fun to see. But at the same time, 5 rounds on the attacking side for Liquid, I feel like it's comfortable.
Well, I would say that in professional play, Split is actually way more balanced when it comes to attack and defend. So 7-5, I was thinking it was gonna be a 6-6, to be honest. 7-5 is not really surprising to me. What is surprising to me though is Liquid playing like till the last moment on the clock. You know, in many rounds, in round 8, in round 9, in round 11, all the attacks were just drawn out to the last possible seconds, and they lost 3 times because of that. So I wonder if that's lack of confidence, lack of problems with communications, or just, you know, just planning it wrong, because they had, let's say, issues with committing to a plan, and then when they fought the opposition, they didn't have time to kind of get into the fights, and they couldn't push on sides, and they were just getting dismantled by Heretics.
Well, as I said, Niso does need to step up, but they are 7-5 rounds up. Let's see what they can do in the next round. Back to you, Pansy and Hypok.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, 7-5, I don't know how much I take into this yet. I mean, it's a very good start, and I want to give credit to Heretics for it. This is just the first foray, though. This is the first look at what to expect, and I'm going to say it. I think, you know, hearts are racing, everyone's a little nervous, no one's quite settled in yet. But this is a statement to be made to start with, for sure.
It is. I mean, dare I be the bad guy and say you should always win your defensive side on Split?
I'm with you. I am with you.
I'll go there. But yeah, I mean, the important thing to note is that looked good from Heretics. For me, I'm very impressed so far. Again, a team relatively with a few question marks around them coming in. You've got to pit them as the strongest of the outside of the top 4.
Yeah.
So far, I'm happy with what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I want to see if Liquid calm down a bit. I feel like the pace they're coming in with is a million miles an hour. I feel like some of the decision making is good, but when it gets to the mid-round calling, they are stumbling a little bit here.
I think you're absolutely right. Those audible calls where, you know, first 40 seconds has been eaten up and then they have to go and re-explore mid and you know, find that space elsewhere to move up and get set up. That kind of was the demise of them in a few rounds. And I mean, it's heartbreaking to ever see, you know, a team kind of be set up for something and be denied by a wall. And that's a factor.
I mean, but you say that. There had been pressure on that side of the map by Heretics constantly, and Liquid didn't explore that early enough. So they get punished when they walk into it late, and they're like, oh, so this is what they've been doing, and we hadn't really been testing it because we've been running Scream up mid. So it's kind of, if you don't default and get the information, eventually you're going to kind of fall foul to that. So again, I do want to credit it to Heretics, but I'm hesitant because this is the first half. So I think pinch of salt still. I'm still going to I'm leaning on experience here.
I mean, with the way we saw Scream play in a couple of those rounds, you got to say that's going to be a factor here on defense for Liquid. If they can assert dominance over mid, you know, on the back of a strong Scream performance, that could be the deciding factor.
Okay. It's time to see what truly Heretics are made of. The pace change, it's on them to set the tone now. That's what I want to see I want to see if they're this bold still. If it still comes through on the attack, game on.
Well, this comes down to actually, we can really put to the test Heretics' homework exercise, to be honest.
Not bad at all. We'll see how well prepared they are for this, because we know that this, again, is one of Liquid's specialties. All these pistol rounds, these early rounds, very choreographed. We'll see what Heretics do with this already. A couple of players towards mid, clearing out as they go, removing any sort of markers on the way, any utility, any sort of giveaways, and they're through pretty scot-free. This is a very passive Liquid hold.
Yeah, Soulcast back over towards the steps, and actually Scream forced all the way back into the defensive spawn. They're going to give this up and opt to play also a retake, but yeah, I mean, 5v5 retake on B site here, it's no easy task, Lauren.
No, and Scream going to be absolutely ninjaed out in the smoke. There are no smoke criminals here. This is a different game. And already you're going to see that advantage lean heavily. Heretics pretty happy with this. Cryptics with a quick one back, though. Going to punish that overpeak. That little bit of a look down towards that defender side, and you're going to get your head taken off. But this retake is tough. This is tricky. They have so little information here. Is this really how this is going to go down? Heretics just need to buy time now. Plenty of utility still left with Liquid, though, and we're going to see that come through. The screen just torn asunder by this. Soulcast going to use the time well, but Nisa with the response, and a quick one at that. Exactly what you want as Pora. Holds back, but does get traded on, eventually leaving it in a 1v2. Nisa isolates one, takes Soulcast off the defuse, and the 1v1 is his. Heretics send a message in the clutch.
And that's a big round. We're in pistol round attack on Split. Again, we talk about Split being a map that falls victim to that snowball factor, and we know how that's kind of a strength for Liquid, is winning that pistol round and then converting round 2 as well.
You know what, that can be a Red Bull clutch right there. I'll give that. At the very start of the game, hell yeah, why not? 8-5, and now there's a problem for Liquid. At the start, if you pick up the pistol and you come back in on a second half, suddenly the scoreline doesn't feel so bad if you're trailing. You catch up probably too. Now you get a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, for this is going to be a great question to answer, is how much respect Heretics show Liquid here. Again, you know, Liquid notorious for buying back into round 2s. They haven't done so this time around. See how they're going to play this one out. They're not looking to find any of these early kills. Let me get some of these weapons off the board, but again, fairly spread out on both sides, to be honest, Lauren.
Yeah, I like a little default to start. I mean, when you're coming up against maybe a slightly upgraded pistol, team like Liquid currently have, you want to kind of feel out if there is a stack. Are they up to any cheesy business? Have they done anything a bit naughty? Scream's going to be already forced slightly further away, but does draw out the initial utility. But this should be go time for Heretics.
He's actually going to come through. Dark cover coming off the defensive spawn. Cryptics on site behind default here. Actually, Spike going to go down. Scream finds one. Cryptics finds a second. Niso good for a trade, and Avova finds the kill onto Cryptics as well. But side control initially contested here.
Yeah, they've been brought into the blender. This gets a little tricky and a little bit too sketchy, as now there's still players alive. What has Soulcast got to work with here, though? Look at that HP. It's so little. I want to see it from his perspective. If possible, he's trying to go up and over. And that's a big deny. And that should be comfortable in the end. But there was a second where that could have been robbed away.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the trade's coming back fast and furious there on site. Important, though, as well, Scream having to use that the Tailwind early on. Again, that was his get-out-of-jail-free card, and not converting that to a kill instantly puts them on the back foot. And, I mean, it looked like they were going to kind of revert to holding for the retake, but they actually fell on challenge for control there.
I mean, they're up for it, but a round's a round. We're almost at double digits for Heretics. And that's where you put the marker down of this.
The scary number.
Yeah, it is. It's as soon as you get double digits against you, it is scary. So Liquid know the pressure of this round. And they've gone for a bit of a cheeky purchase here, Heretics. They've kept over some of the lighter weaponry as well. They've still ensured that they have a good buy with a couple of rifles, but a dash of lighter guns. So if even, let's say, this goes astray, they will still have money going forward.
Yeah, it's damage control. Obviously, if they lose one of the 2 SMGs, they're not going to be too upset about that. I mean, the Bulldog as well, to be honest. So, kind of, I guess, equipping themselves to maybe close out the half in the next 2 rounds, to be honest with you. Economy-wise, obviously, once that gets steamrolling, can be a problem. Speaking of problems, actually, Liquid, 5 of Heretics staring down A main right now. The dark cover going out across heaven and screens. Looks like we're going to have the push through.
Yeah, they're on the way. Scream's going to have to get over here quickly. Pora already with the opener. Link's now gone, and there's now trouble aplenty. And it's going to be Nisa on towards the side. Where's Scream? And the Scream only gets a 1-for-1 trade. That should be the side theirs. Surely the spike's going to go down any second now. They can control this pretty well. Cryptics and Soulcast on the retake, both from the defensive side spawn. LoL could be good for this as well. He's currently watching towards Heaven. It's a bit of a dirty angle, but in pressured moments, if Liquid don't check this, they're going to be in trouble. But luckily, Soulcast, smart play to split up from the other teammate for now and try and clear as he goes. Create maybe a safe haven. Good work from Cryptics, clears his corners, using the turret incredibly well. Soulcast finally gets that first bit of contact, but Cryptics does find a Vova. Quick trade now. We're coming back into this. So again, closing down, very, very stable play from the Reyna here for Heretics, and that is the danger number. Double digits coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a factor on both sides. They're not a little utility. I mean, Heretics invested nearly everything to get onto the site there, but I mean, once you get it and you're waiting on 2 rotations, you don't necessarily need utility to hold onto that control. It's going to be interesting here, economy-wise, just taking a quick look at it. Obviously, did lose a couple of weapons there on the side of Heretics, but look like we're going to have, I mean, 3 ARs back on the board. A relative investment, to be honest with you, and Liquid actually, I mean, force it up, to be honest with you. They're buying back. We've got a judge on 2 judges on the board.
Yeah, they know the value of this round. They need to stop this. And they haven't had an answer yet. And honestly, for Heretics, they've been running just kind of straight up sight hits. There's nothing too fancy about it. No kind of defaulting, pulling rotations, trying to get the pick. No, no, no. It's just get in there. And Link. It is a treacherous position, a dangerous one for sure. Already, you can see everything being set up. All the build coming into play. Poro will probably be the first through here. Acting as entry, Link does deliver. So that's first down, but can you do more than a one and done here? That's my question. No is the answer. Already Heretics getting the first step towards the site.
And some good support from Eccles, though, sending out a couple of flashes. Actually, this one's going to be huge if he can do it, but the wall comes up and blocks him just before he wanted to peek out off the flash. Soulcast heading over towards ramp, though. Again, a concern. Heretics are kind of boxed into the site here. They don't have an awful lot of control outside of that.
Yeah, but you've got to say Judge's Bulldogs on retakes are going to be pretty rough. And time's ticking now, and it's favorable towards the Heretics. And look at the time towards the defensive side. Just seconds being bought and playing in the additional man. There could have been damage done, but Scream knows better. The man's a veteran of the most highest variety. Soulcast dealt with, and now still plenty of opportunity, but time ticks. Scream needs to go right about now. There is no second guessing. He's got to spray and pray and hope they land. He's going to find one, but the second evades him. And Heretics just about hold on again.
I mean, that was a huge round. It comes down to a 1v1 at the end of it, but economy-wise now, I was speaking about Heretics potentially being able to close this out and have an absolute stranglehold on Liquid. The fact that Liquid forced back into that now, I mean, that double-digit round score becomes even more terrifying, Lauren.
Are we really going to get an upset on the first game?
Yes, wouldn't have it any other way.
Liquid fans in dire straits now. It's map 1, it's okay. It's a best of 3, do not fear. We'll be all right. It's only one of the best maps for Liquid, but still, the buy's a little light here this time. You're going to be seeing, Sheriff's bits and pieces, but an ultimate pop going to at least keep Scream pretty viable this round still. Beyond that, though, I still see Bulldogs. I still see slightly weaker purchases, and I like this switch up of pace from Heretics. Let's talk about that. This kind of more standardized default round. See if there's any naughtiness going on across the map.
I mean, Heretics initially a much slower approach this time around. Maybe expected a much worse buy than Liquid have, to be honest with you. The way they're approaching this, they don't really want to give away a free kill at the start of it. Again, pretty much a default spread. I mean, Poor over here doing A-main things as we've seen him do previously. Avova actually making all the way into the vent.
How's he gotten here?
I don't know. I mean, Soulcast maybe just got timed out here. Speaking of timing, how's he going to get found with a headshot there? So they
rotations, they're done. They can't get to the other side. That is incredible from Avova. As soon as they got contact towards Heaven on B, instantly he knew they'd try and push and rotate, and he gets everything they needed. Liquid are in trouble here, and there's no two ways to put it.
No, I mean, Neural Theft goes out for good measure as well, but it's a series of bad timings, to be honest with you. I mean, Heretics, just a fantastic reaction based off that information, too.
All right, Scream and Cryptics, shot in the back, put down, have a little nap here. Cryptics now going to be dealt the same fate. This is Heretics sending more than a message. This is a beatdown. This scoreline, I expect it to be the other way. I wanted to see maybe a little 12-5. Okay, let's keep that narrative building that maybe Liquid have something. But this isn't pretty.
It's not, and again, just economic turmoil on the side of Liquid. Again, we're obviously backs against the wall. Going to be a force out here. Managed to get 2 Bulldogs. The Phantom obviously Scream previously saving that money from popping the Blade Storm. Eccles, I mean, whichever way he leans towards. But yeah, this is... it all comes off the back of that pistol round. The round 2 conversion with what money was invested back, it just instantly becomes a problem with that scoreline.
Okay, so we do have a little bit of a second of a pause here to actually... Let's talk things through, because there was a lot of kind of win conditions we put with Heretics that could have happened, and it seems that a couple of them have happened. Now, the one thing we kind of added to that, though, was that this was traditionally a good map for Liquid.
Yes.
So Heretics have kind of come true and come good on all of their promises, but I don't feel I'm seeing the best out of Liquid here.
No. How much weight we can put on the fact that Heretics have a fantastic opportunity to prepare for this. They have a great data sample, right? They can go back and say, what's their best map? What's the map we wouldn't want to play them on? Let's rehearse that best. Because they seem very well equipped to deal with them even on attack, yeah.
Heretics just took a tactical timeout. Just let them stew in it for a second. I love it. If that was actually the case, if that was the reason.
Mind games.
Oh, it's gorgeous, because you know Liquid do not want... This was not the start. This was the debut. And these guys reigned supreme for so long under various titles, Fish 1, 2, 3, and then the addition of Scream was meant to be the crowning jewel, but it looks like the crown weighed a little too heavy, and others have certainly kind of already usurped that throne, but there's still a round to go, and this is only map 1. Best of 3s, it can be a long series, but if we keep seeing this from Heretics, I'm on board. Get me the t-shirt, buy me the jacket, I'll go full Simo.
Hey, this is... if this is them playing on Liquid's pick, I can't wait to see what Heretics have got up their sleeve for their map pick, to be honest with you. Soulcast tucked inside the dark cover right now. Going to allow 3 to pass. Actually, the slow wall comes through. Dark cover drop. Scream good for 2 from this spot, though.
Yeah, Scream going to control it. The veteran just gripping onto this round, maybe a lifeline at this point, but Avova gets a freebie, and suddenly, again, it's open. You're going to get a bit of information, though, filtered back through towards Liquid, but you can see the intention that Avova wants to paint. The spike is on the way. We still have Cryptics on the site. He's going to see 1. We're going to see Cryptics at least get Avova, but now here comes the rest of the hit. And Cryptics back to the wall, holds it together for Liquid. Dire straits, but he does deliver.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. If we can see Liquid, I don't want to say dig deep. It's a tall order to ask to get 6 on the bounce on a map like Split. But again, just staying alive for so long and creating that pressure from Heretics, they have to focus their efforts onto him. And look at this, picking up 3 from site with the Bulldog. Just absolutely brilliant work from him.
Okay, so you just need someone to get 3 kills every round.
Yeah,
There's the bar.
yeah.
Get to it, guys. Yeah, I mean, some of these players are having a little bit quieter of a performance, and they do need a little more than this. And to be fair, from Heretics, I wanted to look at that as a kind of slower-paced round. It looked like there was an opportunity, and they leant in towards it onto A, but that faded away pretty swiftly. But are they going contact on this?
I mean, actually, the turret's going to spot it out
Yeah.
there. Nakia walks out, does get greeted, but you're right. Nobody actually committed onto site here. The lockdown is obviously in the back pocket. You can see Cryptics positioned over towards the defensive spawn, so happy to give it up.
Is this a fake? If they are pulling a fake, look at the spike right now. Oh, if they're going to try and draw, at least, if they can keep 2 of the players present towards B, ideally 3, just off the back of that little information on the turret coming in, that would be everything. Now, you're going to have the likes of Link over here, and it looks like Scream will be as well. So 2 heavy hitters, to say the least, but still, first bit of contact's going to be made any second now. Once they breach in towards Heaven on the top side of those rafters, Scream's going to get first contact, and it does seem as though they have the rotation in the right place. So 3 players now present for the defensive side, but this is quiet so far from Heretics. They're going real slow, and Scream's already found 1 and 2. So the split that was coming in has been dealt with well by Liquid. They are holding just about onto this, but the site hit's still in motion, and it's still delivering. Uh-oh, suddenly, where is that spike? How close to site? It's on. So now we've got to look towards... Oh, Nuki needs to hold this together. He has to take the information fights. He has to be about this, but Killjoy could be such a nuisance now.
Yeah, the lockdown goes down. It pretty much blocks all of sight except for the back 2 corners here. So going to force Niso into a tough spot. Nukia, he's got to get some damage done here. Does get locked down. Scream going to swing out. Scream didn't see him. Oh my word!
No. How is this happening? And Niso's got him. Oh my god, this is a absolute fumble. Soulcast saves the day, but I am baffled with what I just saw.
That would have been the most heartbreaking way to lose out.
Can you imagine?
Oh my word.
He's having to explain, like, no, Scream, he was literally standing there, dude. What?
I love that though. With just the hands poised, watching a jet up, tailwind pass. That was brilliant.
Oh my. 7-12. Let's look at the money now coming in for Heretics, because they've had a good couple of buys. I'm pretty sure they could probably still buy, but yeah, this was all great and dandy. Scream potentially missing a player. As you can see, it was happening, and the information being filtered through to the other teammate. If Soulcast didn't just go absolutely clutch then, I would have lost my mind.
I actually feel bad. It looked like Niso almost baited his teammate there by dismissing it to Screams. That feels bad.
Well, the main thing is that, to be fair to Liquid, they have now broken the money of Heretics. There's enough to get a bit of a force buy going, but it's far from ideal. Ooh, a couple of ults being committed, though. This is Liquid putting a lot into this round. Already Soulcast getting aggressive. That's pretty dangerous. This 3-play stack down middle, I don't mind. But you're doing it against lighter weapons, which can be a bit risky.
Yeah, that's a lot to throw down on. I mean, in terms of investment, there's not an awful lot put in from Heretics. It's especially to not convert anything off that. I mean, it's not really great map control, and they haven't taken any players off the board either.
Yeah, I'm not blown away by it. I get the intention, but the execution and maybe the round timing was not so perfect. For now, though, Heretics are going to regain this control. Because they didn't post anyone deep in towards middle, that whole aggress down towards a deeper end of mid was for nothing. So suddenly, there's a bit of a problem because you've got only Scream here? Oh no, there is one more player. Okay, Link's already filtered across, but that's a bit of a misread. That could be a bit of a misread of information because Scream's now dead, and the site's looking real open and available. Avova has to be careful. He wasn't careful enough. People need to check their corners. As Avova falls, Link controls this, and now they know the intentions completely.
Yeah, the delay on the dark cover there. Actually, we're going to get the revive invested here. Avova back on his feet. The paranoia comes through. Link now going to swing through Screams. Let's see if we can get it. Dark cover back down, and actually the turret going to be negated. Link finds the first on the way in, though.
Yeah, Link's still doing well here. Desperate to hold on. Avova, it is a one and done, but with the utility, it does suddenly have a little bit more depth to it. And the time's ticking. Liquid, what is the plan here? You have to wait for some of that utility to surpass and fade away, but this is a filthy crossfire. These two players are holding this, and there is no opportunities being given. Is this really how you're going to lose the round? Soulcast says, no, check your corners. Avova's got two. That was meant to be a one and done, and now it is a 1v1 as Nisao is trying to play the time. Play it perfectly, but Soulcast, he's on the spike. But has he got enough time? No. They've left it too late, and as if that's the way it goes down, I am beyond belief here. But Heretics are probably beyond their minds winning this out.
That was crazy. I mean, the fact that Avova stayed alive for that long, the fault line came through and stunned him in the corner. Not only that, he gets stunned, still finds 2 kills from there.
Okay, Liquid just lost Split, arguably one of their better maps coming through. I do not know what to make of this. Like, this retake, how did they not check this corner? How is this happening for Liquid? These guys are, I want to say, better than this. Credit to Heretics all day long for doing this against them, but there's some sloppiness coming out of Liquid here.
Sloppy is the word I was just about to use. It didn't look, I mean, even in the rounds that, you know, on attack, the Liquid looked very confident. I mean, they took those rounds easily. The ones, I mean, I'm going to counter what you said, you know, that running down the clock the way they did, that was kind of their demise in the majority of rounds they lost.
All right, I need to catch my breath and, I don't know, put my brain back into my skull because I really didn't expect to see this kind of go the way it went, if I'm honest. I wouldn't have minded a closer game, but Liquid look a little shaky here and Heretics mean business. I mean, the guys on the desk highlighted this, so I can't wait to hear their thoughts. We're going to head to a short break. When we're back, more maps coming up, more breakdowns coming your way, and maybe, just maybe, an upset to start off First Strike.
Insecto. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One player remaining.